Hello, my fellow artisans. Welcome back to the Artisan Electrics channel. Today I've got something a little bit different and a little bit special for you because I'm going to show you why not every EV charging installation is as straightforward as people think. We're going to do a little case study in this video. I'm going to show you one install that I've been asked to quote for recently, where the customer thought it was really simple, but it turned out to be a lot more complicated. So I'm going to show you through the photos, going to explain how I plan to do the job, and I would love to hear in the comments what you think, how you would do it if you're an electrician watching this. And if you're a customer watching this and you want to get an electric vehicle charging point installed, this might hopefully show you areas where you might not have thought about how your install might be more complicated than you might think. So if you like this video, hit a thumbs up if it's been of any benefit to you throughout the video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already and hit the notification bell, and let's get into it. These are from photos that the customer has sent me, and a massive shout out to the customer because they were brilliant in sending some very good photos, and we've been emailing back and forth with more and more photos as the plot has thickened, shall we say. So at first glance, this is the situation. We've got a garage, so it's obviously detached garage separated from the house, and the customer's plan was to install an electric vehicle charging point here on the pillar in the middle. They've got a lovely new electric vehicle arriving soon, and this is the ideal place to put the charging point. So they sent me a picture of the consumer unit in the garage because, hey, we've got power to the garage. This is the garage consumer unit. And at first glance, you think, oh, great, look, they've even got a dedicated spare way for an electric vehicle charging point. How convenient. So they've obviously installed this with electric vehicle charging in mind. And you've got a 100 amp main switch, and then you've got various circuits. But this is where the problem comes in, you see, because if you look back at the photo, this garage is not just a garage, but it's got a granny flat up above. And so this garage consumer unit is feeding the sockets upstairs, which is presumably in the garage, the granny flat, sockets downstairs, which is presumably in the garage, a shower. So they've got an electric shower, which is probably at least 7 kilowatts. Then they've got a water heater, which could be an immersion heater, or it could be some kind of gas boiler, and then lighting. So there's already quite a lot of significant loads running on this installation. And if you look at this supply cable, this armored cable that's coming into the building, it doesn't look that big to me. So a little bit of concern, and alarm bells start to ring because the customer's expecting us to just be able to run off this, but it might not be possible. So a little bit more investigation needs to be done. Now, the customer sent me other photos. This was their plan originally. They wanted an Artisan A2 electric vehicle charging point installing on the pillar here. And the plan would be a simple cable route through the garage, down and into this existing consumer unit. Very easy install. If only it was that simple. So what we have to do then is get more information from the customer, because unfortunately I don't think we're going to be able to run off this, but we need to know what size is the feeder circuit that feeds this consumer unit back at the house, and what size is this cable, because if it's on a 63 amp back at the house, or 50 amp or something, that might be a possibility. So I asked for more photos, and they sent me a photo of their main house consumer unit. So that is this, and you can see here in the main house consumer unit, we've got a circuit for the garage. It's a 40 amp. So 40 amp, and already we've seen we've got a shower running off that. We've got a water heater. We've got sockets. We're already quite close to the limit of that 40 amp circuit breaker without even thinking about adding an electric vehicle charging point. So it's not looking good. But can we find out what size the cable is going out to the garage? Because maybe it's a big hefty cable and they've just put a small circuit breaker on it, but we might be able to upgrade that circuit breaker. Well, and again, the customer is absolutely fantastic. They sent me this. This is the installation certificate from when the original install was done. And here we can see the garage circuit is on a 6mm squared cable with a 4mm CPC. So that indicates to me that probably it's twin and earth cable type A wiring here, going from the house consumer unit to a junction box outside, and then probably armored cable from there. Originally, though, it was on a 32 amp circuit breaker, so it seems like somebody's upgraded that to a 40, maybe because they were finding overload and they were tripping the circuit. So there's definitely no spare capacity on that cable for us to upgrade the circuit breaker. So back to square one now. We're going to have to run power from the house consumer unit or another source if possible. So I asked the customer what would be the potential cable route from this house consumer unit, which you can see here, to the garage for the electric vehicle charging point. And this is where it gets complicated, because this is right in the middle of the house, of course. So it would be a very long, complicated run through the house, either lifting floorboards or running cable surface mounted in trunking through the house. Never ideal. And we don't have a non-RCD way that we can come off here either, so we'd have to rejig this consumer unit. Complicated. So the customer said, could you maybe run it from the meter box? And my usual answer to that is no, because we aren't really allowed to install extra equipment in the electricity meter box. But here they have something special. So let me show you the picture the customer sent me. He sent me this option, which is a route from the charge point location here through the garage, outside in a trench to the meter box. But look what's next to the meter box. If you look at the picture carefully, you can see another box here. So I wondered, because this is obviously the gas meter, I wondered if there was maybe a sub main and an extra meter box for that, which we might be able to use. So I asked the customer for pictures, and this is what he gave me. So this is the main meter box, but there is indeed an additional meter box to the left of the main meter box, which has a switch fuse in for the house consumer unit. Now, the reason for installing this is because the supply cable from the meter to the main house consumer unit is more than 3 meters. You're only allowed 3 meters of these cables, which we call the main tails, off the main fuse. If it's longer than that, you need to run it differently, and you need to install a switch fuse, which is what they've done. They've installed this switch fuse. Maybe it's a 63 amp or 80 amp or 100 amp switch fuse, and then they've run an armored cable from there to the consumer unit in the house. So it looks like we might have the possibility here to run from one of these boxes. Now, actually, it looks like we've got enough space here to put a mini consumer unit, but I always try to avoid putting anything in there because we're not really supposed to. So my idea then is, could we potentially add something in here? Now, obviously, there's not enough room at the moment, but could we remove this switch fuse and install instead a two-way consumer unit, maybe with a surge protection device built in as well? And one circuit would then feed the main house consumer unit, and the other circuit would feed the electric vehicle charging point. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, how you would do this. If you're a Sparky, I would love to know. It's always good to hear other people's opinions about it. My negative side to installing a two-way consumer unit in here is that this consumer unit at the moment will have what we call a cartridge fuse in, which has quite a high braking capacity, and it has it's kind of like a slow blow fuse. So it won't actually blow. Say if it's an 80 amp fuse, it won't really blow if it hits 80 amps. It will only blow if it hits 80 amps for a prolonged period of time, or if it hits, say, 100, 120, 150 amps, then it might blow. If we fitted an MCB in here, it's likely to blow quicker. So if there was overload on the house for just a few seconds or a few minutes, it could trip the circuit breaker, and that could cause inconvenience to the customer. So I'm weighing all this up and thinking, what can we do here? Could we possibly get a Hager consumer unit that has a carrier for an 80 amp fuse and a 32 amp MCB next to it, and we could fit a surge protection device in there? That's my kind of idea, but let me know your thoughts in the comments, as I said. So then from here, what we would have to do is run the cable out. It'd have to be an armored cable, because it's going to have to be buried in the ground. So the customer, again, amazing. They've produced this wonderful picture with markings. So we've got the gas meter here. That's the gas pipe going into the garage. And we can see the route here. We could run a cable down and then a trench in the ground into the garage. Now we do have paving slabs here that we'd have to go underneath. So now you start to realize that digging is going to be involved. So digging, expensive, another additional cost to the installation, but it's going to be the only way really to do it properly. You could, of course, clip it along and run it along the fence, but you've got the gate to go over and it would be a bit of a mess. So digging is the only way really. So now I'm thinking, okay, we get the customer to get a trench dug, get something run underneath that pavement, and then maybe they put a 63 mil cable duct in all the way into the garage, and then we can run the cable in afterwards. That would be good. And then inside the garage, all we have to do is pull the cable in and clip the cable within the garage. It would come in here somewhere, for example, in the duct, and then we'd clip it to surface inside the garage all the way through and follow a similar route to what the customer showed us in the pictures. Surface clip the cable along here, along and down, and then we could drill through and go straight into the back of the electric vehicle charging point. But there are a few other things that we need to consider here, because obviously we mentioned we've got quite a high load on this garage. So it's going to be running, you know, maximum demand is probably about 40 amps realistically from the garage itself. Then we've got house circuits here, kitchen sockets. You could be running a dishwasher, washing machine, tumble dryer, ground floor sockets, all the various appliances that are plugged in. And then you've got lighting, you know, central heating. All of these things add up. So the maximum demand for the property is quite easily above 60 amps. So what we will need to do is install some kind of load limiting. And in order to do that, we need to install what are called CTs, or current transformers, which will measure the amount of power that's being drawn from the grid. We clamp a CT around this main incoming tail from the grid. That measures the amount of current that the installation is using. And then if you have the right charging point, like a Zappi, for example, you can set a grid limit on it, and it can ramp down the charging point to avoid it overloading that main 100 amp cutout fuse that we see here. Obviously, it's a PME system as well, so we'll need to install the charging point that has built-in pen fault detection, or we'll have to install a separate pen fault detection device, which we don't have space for, or we'll have to install an earth electrode, which is not recommended. So really, we're narrowing it down now, and Anderson A2 is probably out of the picture. They did mention the Tesla Generation 3. That's definitely out of the picture because we can't put a pen detection device in. We can't do a grid limit with it. So I'm recommending a Zappi for this installation because it's pretty much the only option in this kind of situation. We need grid limit. So we're going to have to hardwire the CTs as well, because we've got quite a distance here from the house to here. It could be 15 meters at least. I don't know whether the signal from the wireless CT unit that My Energy provides, the Harvey, I don't quite know whether it'll reach to there, and I don't want to risk it not working. So what we're going to do then, we're going to have to hardwire our CTs, and that means that the cable that we install from the meter box to the charge point is going to have to be either an EV Ultra cable, which has an integrated Cat5e data cable in, which we can use to run the CT connections, or we'll have to install a separate armored data cable for the charging point. But then it kind of looks ugly running two separate cables. So I'm going to opt for quoting for the EV Ultra cable, 6mm 3-core steel wire armored with the Cat5e built in, and that'll enable us to run our CTs hardwired. But you can see here how what seemed to be a really simple job can end up being super complicated, just because of various factors that the customer will have no idea about when they are first looking into the job. So it's gone from being a super easy, straightforward, quite cheap installation to actually it's going to be a big job. It's going to involve groundwork. It's going to be probably 2 days work or a day's work for 2 guys probably to do this from our side. And it's going to involve expensive EV Ultra cable, a new consumer unit, surge protection device. There's a lot of equipment involved as well. So I just thought I'd share this with you because this is a scenario that we come across more often than you might think. I think particularly customers asking if we can wire from their existing garage consumer unit. That is something that happens a heck of a lot. And most of the time, 95% of the time, we can't run off the existing garage consumer unit because the supply that's been installed to it is just not adequate. it's very rare that anyone will install a 63 amp supply to a garage or a 50 amp supply to a garage. And that's kind of the minimum that you need in order to be able to run an electric vehicle charging point from it. So I hope this video has been of benefit to you. Is it a scenario that you face as an EV charging installer? Let me know in the comments. Are you getting an EV charging point installed, and have you faced a similar thing at your home? I would love to know all your thoughts in the comments below. And if you are an installer and you can see a different way of doing it, maybe a better way of doing it, let me know in the comments. I'm always open to your suggestions. If you have enjoyed this video and it's been of benefit to you, hit a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. It's free and you get regular video updates from me. We post videos here on this channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 8 p.m. So we'd love it if you hit the notification bell and stay up to date with all the future content that's coming out, because we've got some really exciting stuff coming up soon. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.